Everybody, this is Cindy Newcomb. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about how to read a recipe. I'm just going to look at this one here. It's peanut butter cookies. So the first thing you need to do is you need to look at your recipe. You need to look at your ingredients, make sure you have all of your ingredients and read through it and see what you need to do before you get started. It says up there a little hint. For double the peanut flavor, add 3/4 cup of chopped peanuts to the dough. 1/2 cup of margarine or butter is a stick. Now you need 1/2 cup of peanut butter. You're going to need 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, which in some recipes will say AP flour. And sometimes a cup will be abbreviated with a capital C. And then you're going to need 1/2 cup of sugar. You're going to need 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar or 1/4 cup of honey. And when you use brown sugar, if you don't keep it in an airtight container, it will harden. But if it does harden, just throw a slice of bread in there and close it back up, and it'll help soften it back up. You're going to need 1 egg, and you need to set that out. Let it come to room temperature. You need 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And then you're going to need a little bit of sugar. So the recipe tells us that we start our oven at 375. So turn your oven on to 375 while you're getting all your ingredients together. So then you're going to take and you're going to follow your directions. So it says in a mixing bowl, you beat the margarine or butter and the peanut butter on medium or high for 30 seconds. Then you add 1/2 cup of the flour. So you've got 1 1/4 cup of flour, but you're only going to use 1/2 to begin with. Then you're going to put your sugar in, your brown sugar, your egg, your baking soda, baking powder, and vanilla, and beat all that till it's combined. Then you put in the remaining flour. Now, you're going to handle this with your hands. And of course, like everything else, you wash your hands before you start baking. I think I forgot to say that the last 2 videos. But you're going to take the dough and you're going to shape it into 1-inch balls. And then roll it in the sugar that you've got set aside. And then you'll place them 2 inches apart on an ungreased cookie sheet. Now, that's something you have to pay attention to. Some of your recipes will say greased cookie sheet. Some will say ungreased cookie sheet. You can always use parchment paper if you just aren't sure and you just want to be extra careful. You roll it in the sugar and then you take a fork and you just do a crisscross design with the tines of the fork, and it shows you a picture of this here. Then you're going to bake these at 375 for 7 to 9 minutes or till the bottoms are lightly brown. Then you cool them on a wire rack, and it makes about 36 cookies. Then all you need to do after they completely cool is put them in an airtight container. And there you are. You have your cookies. So are y'all ready to make peanut butter cookies? Okay, we're getting ready to start. So the first thing I'm going to do, the recipe says 1/2 cup of butter or margarine, so I'm going to put a stick of butter in the mixing bowl, and I'm using the stand mixer today. Like we said, 1 stick of butter is 1/2 cup. So it says beat the margarine or butter and the peanut butter. So here's my handy dandy Pampered Chef measuring cup that I like. So I've got 1/2 cup of peanut butter. So all I got to do is push that in the bowl, and then I'll take my offset spatula and scrape the rest off. And I just washed my hands before I started, just to let y'all know. On medium to high speed for 30 seconds. Just get that all good combined. Now it says to add 1/2 cup of the flour. So remember how we talked about with flour, you want to pour it into your cup. So I'm filling up 1/2 cup, and you always want it smooth on the top. Exact measurements when you're baking. So there's 1/2 cup. So it says put the 1/2 cup of flour in. The sugars, here's 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Here's 1/2 cup of just regular sugar, and that goes in. Got 1 fresh egg. And I'm going to break it into a bowl since it's a fresh egg, just to make sure everything's okay. So we've got 1 egg. Okay, and then we're going to put in our baking soda, which is 1/2 teaspoon. The baking soda comes in that little orange box, but I buy like a 2-pound box, so mine's in a container. So we're going to get 1/2 teaspoon. Once again, leveled off. And then we're going to use a half a teaspoon of baking powder. And this is baking powder. This is actually a new container. I've made a lot of sugar cookies over the last few months, so use a lot of baking powder for that. So 1 level, half a teaspoon of that. So it calls for a half a teaspoon. We're just going to use 1/4 of a teaspoon. We'll turn the mixer back on. We had a 1 1/4 cup. I took a half a cup out of it to start with, and now we're going to put the rest in. I'm going to beat that. If I can get this where y'all can see what it looks like. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to shape it into 1-inch balls. Now, I have a little scoop that does that, but if you don't have a scoop, you can just use 2 spoons and just get a spoonful and then scrape it off and make a ball with it. And I've got some sugar just in a little bowl here, so that after we make the balls, we can roll the balls in sugar and put them on the cookie sheets. So we've got a cookie sheet. This is actually a non-stick cookie sheet, but with this recipe, it says an ungreased cookie sheet. So you don't have to use a non-stick cookie sheet. You can just use a regular one. As you just scoop it out, roll it in a ball. See, we've got a little ball here. Then you roll it in the sugar. Some people don't roll it in sugar, they just use sugar on the fork tines. So then we're going to take the fork and we're going to press it one way. And dip it in sugar again. And then we're going to press it the other way. So that gives us our hash marks. So that's what I'm going to do, is continue doing this. And then we'll get it in the oven. They're real easy to make. Roll it in the sugar. No cookie sheet. Remember, it says to 1-inch balls, 2 inches apart. Okay. Now we'll do it with a spoon so you can see how to do that. I've got full to my scoop. And you can just take, after you get a spoonful, the spoon just kind of helps you measure it. And then you just roll it in a ball. See, it's still a ball. And then we roll it in sugar and do our hash marks. So I'm gonna finish doing this, and then I'm gonna put them in the oven for 9 minutes, and then I'll come back to you and we'll see what they look like. It won't take long and we'll be ready to eat. Okay, so I've got a cookie sheet out of the oven, and I baked them for 9 minutes, and they look beautiful. So I let them cool for a couple minutes on the cookie sheet, and as you can see, they flattened out beautifully. And I'll admit, oops, I broke that one. I'll admit I accidentally used the 2-inch scoop instead of the 1-inch scoop, so I only got 20, but that's okay. I like big cookies. So anyway, just let them cool on your cookie sheet for a couple of minutes. Usually I let them cool while I'm getting the other cookie sheet ready to go in the oven. So I've got a shortcut for you though. If you don't have all of the ingredients that you need to make these cookies, and you want some peanut butter cookies, or you need to make some cookies to take somewhere, I've got a shortcut. This is a Betty Crocker product. It says it makes 3 dozen 2-inch cookies. All you add is 3 tablespoons of oil and 1 egg. It's really good too. But this sells for like $2.50 at Walmart. I actually got this for like 50 cents or 75 cents using an Ibotta rebate. And if you don't know what Ibotta is, I have it down in the description box with my referral code, because you can save a lot of money. A lot of times they'll have things you can get for absolutely free. This is your shortcut. So if you don't have all the ingredients and you still want to make cookies, this is easy to make also. You just put the oil in, the egg in, mix it up, and follow the directions, basically kind of like we just did. But I thank y'all for stopping by. I hope y'all enjoyed making the peanut butter cookies. Y'all come back again. Hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And we'll see what we can come up with next time. We'll find something to get into. But thanks again for stopping by. I hope y'all have a great evening.